Hello there, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast. Kathy and Mark and me.
Hey, I have a question.
What?
Did you guys ever go to summer camp when you were kids? Did you go to camp?
I
Did you
did.
like
And I was also a camp counselor for one summer.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a whole lot of like really clever murders while you were there?
I wish, but when I was a camper, my camp, it was in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and this is what we would do. We get in the school bus. The guy would drive us to the mall, give us $10, and we just buy comics.
That was that sounds like a good summer camp.
It was great.
So
And then like
summer camp. Okay.
yeah. And then he said, we're going to go to this place. You're going to help me clean out this building, and you guys get paid $20.
Child labor.
It was
That
child
sounds
labor.
really illegal.
But I got cash, and I would like getting comics. We never played sports. We had paddle boats, and we went fishing a little bit. That was kind of the extent of it. So it was a funny camp. It was a weird
Oh
camp.
my god! I remember my
kind
camp.
of a camp.
I went to summer camp, and then one time, all the kids, we were doing our sports thing. It was kind of a little more like free time, like where you could go do what you want to do. You could go swimming, you could go hiking, whatever.
You go
And so
home.
a bunch of us decided to go, let's just go hiking. So we're just going to wander around the woods, and we come upon this big open field, and we see all of the counselors sitting in a circle there, all smoking pot. And they saw us and they went, you kids aren't supposed to be out here. We're like, you can hike.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, we caught them all. And so then
Let's not talk about supposed to be.
So I'm like, wow, being a camp counselor seems pretty cool.
Camp counseling was fun. I actually really enjoyed it. Well, this is a bad story, but I'll tell it. Like when there was one kid who was a real jackass. So at night, he's sleeping in bed, and then we had 4 counselors. And he's in a, just a little bunk bed, like a cot. Two guys start shaking the cot. And then I was there with 2 flashlights at the foot of the bed. And another guy had an air horn. So he's shaking the bed, air horn, headlights, like a truck's coming to him, like he's.
Oh my God.
I know.
That
You can't do that anymore. So
it was like victim number 1 at the summer camp massacre.
So
but I can't remember a single person from summer camp. Not one single person. That's why I'm like, did I go to the wrong kind of summer camps? Because in this, it seems so idyllic. Like you see these friends meet at summer camp, and I guess they stay in touch and they remain friends, and then they all kind of lead their separate lives. We're talking about summer camp now, the movie summer camp. So then they all kind of, they kind of lose touch. Everybody's living their lives being adults, and then they finally find out there's a big reunion, and they're like, why not? It'll be fun. So they reunite, and they all know each other, and they're like, oh, we dropped the ball. I forgot when her birthday was. All those kind of things. I'm thinking, I don't remember anyone from summer camp. Who does that? It's like so weird.
Neither do I.
I feel like I just didn't go to good ones.
My summer camp experience was called Bible camp, and it was an absolute, what you might imagine, type of nightmare. It was not my bag, as the kids say in those days.
That's what they would say in the pot smoking circle of my summer camp.
Not my bag. Let's sit around, man. Let's sit in a circle, and the guy would get his guitar, and he would like, let's sit around in a circle and rap, and it's not that kind of rap. It was like
talk.
It was some real talk.
We'd sit around, we'd rap about man, and it was like,
fortunately none of that in this movie, thank God.
No, this is the movie's called Summer Camp, written and directed by Castille, Landon, and with a wonderful cast: Kathy Bates, Diane Keaton, Aflre Woodard, Dennis Haysbert, Eugene Levy, Beverly D'Angelo. So this is like A-list stuff. And so Kathy Bates, Diane Keaton, and Alfre Woodard they start out in like 1973 or something when they're teenagers and befriending themselves, and that goes on. That's like the preamble, the first 15 minutes or so. Then you flash forward to present day, and you see where they are in their lives.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates is this very successful self-help person. She's, like a kind of an Oprah Winfrey type. Yeah. Diane Keaton is a biophysicist or a chemical engineer. So she's all into her work. Alfre Woodard is a nurse at a hospital, has that kind of intense and doesn't have a great relationship with her husband. Yeah. So they meet and they sort of reconnect. And what you're thinking the movie will be is, they're coming back 50 years later. Where are they in their lives?
Yeah.
And how does this reconnection, this this reunion maybe help their lives, along with, of course, they're seeing people from 50 years ago, like Eugene Levy was the hot guy back then. Dennis Haysbert was another hot guy, and they sort of see them, and that's kind of the
Still
starting off
sparks.
point for the film. Yeah, there's still spark, but then there's the hijinks of the movie.
Hijinks.
There's the food fight. There's the whitewater rapid where somebody falls out. A stunt person falls out, not Diane Keaton, a stunt person. And but
why wouldn't them to throw Diane Keaton in rapids?
Yeah, and there's an archery scene, so you have all that stuff. And these are great actors, and
they are great actors. I love seeing Diane Keaton again.
Iconic,
I can't remember the last movie she was in, but she's still so adorable. She's still Annie Hall. She will always be Annie Hall. She's got I love her menswear. She just basically in this, she was Diane Keaton. She dressed like Diane Keaton. She acted like Diane Keaton. So I love seeing that on screen. So I was for it because she looks amazing. I love her. Like she's just got her straight hair and her hats and her menswear and all. And she's still that kooky, kind of cute, adorable, capable woman. I thought that was, and her trying to seduce Eugene Levy was probably some of the best stuff in the movie, I think, because them together, so good.
Right.
And that was really cool. And then of course, Kathy Bates, who I feel like she was I almost didn't recognize her. Like I feel like she didn't need all that, but I guess that was her character. But she was kind of the instigator in all of this, like throwing together. But because she was kind of a self-help person, she's always doing that with everyone all the time. And it was kind of like everybody's like, you feel like you're judging me all the time. What are you doing? At the same time, kind of getting in their heads a little bit, which I thought there was some cool stuff in here about getting older, dealing with like regret. And here you are. This is it. This is your life. You're old. You're 50 years later. Have you accomplished what you want to accomplish?
Comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah, it's like so. There's some really profound stuff that can be mined in this. I feel like they didn't quite go deep enough with that. Maybe that wasn't their intent, but I feel like the comedy wasn't. I feel like they were kind of torn. On
the tone is off on this
profound drama because they could do both. But they didn't really know quite what they wanted to do with it. But there were some great moments.
There's some moments there, but I think the tone, and also, there's a score throughout the whole film that is sort of this sort of whimsical, rompy sort of, that kind of thing. And when you get that for 95 minutes or whatever the running time is, without a break, it sort of kills the tone of the movie because you're not letting the scenes breathe. Like you're not letting the more serious
telling you what to.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is like, I don't need the cues. And we go to good actors, just, let the scene play out. And so I felt there was like, it's like, why is this music here in this scene, which should be so serious?
Yeah.
And then, here's the goofy scene of the food fight. Okay. And then it goes that way.
Like so they were afraid to get too serious in a weird way, even though I think they had some great serious moments. Like Aflre Woodard, when her husband is dealing with her husband comes over to the camp and he's like, where have you been answering my calls? And that felt very toxic, very scary. Like all of a sudden you're seeing like the inside peak of her life where she was like feeling really like put out by her husband and he's not seeing her. He doesn't respect her. And then here's this guy from, summer camp who thinks she's all this and just listens to her. It's like, so she really doesn't get, and then they have Diane Keaton and Kathy Bates hearing all this, like they're kind of hiding behind some bushes and they're all giggling and we heard it all. I'm like, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you guys laughing? I mean, I feel like they diffused what was a really profound moment for Aflre Woodard to see this dynamic of a relationship that's not working. I thought that was a really, to me, it kind of gave me chills how good that scene was and how good she was. And then they kind of diffused it. But
exactly,
I didn't want it to be a comedy, but I wanted to have something to say. But I feel like you got to kind of decide.
I think you can say diffuse is a good word, or just like killing the scene is the other way of like just just took it away, took the power away from it, and went back into some other goofy comedy scene. So I just think the tone kept going left and right, and it just didn't feel like it. Like you said, Kathy, it didn't sort of commit to what it should have been.
Yeah.
It sort of
kind of gave everybody everything, I guess you can say. Like, we'll make you laugh, we'll make you cry. But at the same time, I feel like I wasn't sure if I was supposed to cry. Like, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to laugh. Like, there was a little bit of discomfort, and maybe that was sort of the intent too. But I did feel like the actors did bring it. They brought it when they needed to. There were some great dramatic scenes. I love the scene where she's actually counseling Beverly D'Angelo, and then Beverly D'Angelo starts taking off the tape, because she's all super, plastic surgery looking.
Right.
That was such a great moment that they then kind of went, make this go away. Like everybody got uncomfortable and made the ends. But it was such a great scene of her unveiling, like being vulnerable for a second because she was like the mean girl.
Right.
And then they just left it. It's like, this was such a sweet. So that was frustrating to feel like there's these great moments that just get Yeah. So
this kind of
great
movies
moments to be had.
It's true. There's a lot of things to be mined from the idea of a reunion movie, because a person's life is one of those things that, you think back on your life and you think about where you are right now and how you got here, and how sometimes little small things, little changes in your life take you down a completely different tangent. And what's funny is when you're young, you have so few tangents. When you're young and you have your friends when you're a kid, it's basically the people you happen to be next to, and those become your friend. Like a lot of my friends have a similar last name or names that start with the same letter as my last name, because we were all in homeroom together, and it was alphabetical. Or the kids who happened to grow up in your neighborhood, you had it was like, all right, so I'll be this person's friend. But as you get older, you get a lot, you gain a whole lot of things. And that's always interesting to see the contrast. When you were kids, it's like, you were this immortal living in childhood paradise or whatever. And then when you get older, you've been through all this stuff. And the idea of a bunch of people who used to be carefree children or young people together, getting together after all this life experience, there's so much to be mined from that idea.
So much baggage.
Baggage,
and I think,
wisdom.
And
there was
maybe
no wisdom.
maybe in this, because you never know, it's a studio film that maybe they said, listen, it's called Summer Camp, it's got to this is going to be light, light, so maybe that stuff gets trimmed down, and when you have to put in a food fight, or we have to put in something that's goofy and funny, and
the food fight is definitely something that came up. I have a feeling that came up in a meeting. It's like I can just see somebody in the meeting, guys, hear me out. What if we have a food fight? It's like,
especially grown-ups. It'll make them childlike. It's like they're revisiting their youth, like they're now regressing into being kids, and they're having their food fight, and then all the magic is taken out, but you see this poor guy having to clean it up.
Right.
Not good. Yeah. I did like him. Josh Peck was funny. I liked him as kind of the hapless, the camp counselor who's there, who just can't get anything right. Like he drops things. He's trying to bring in meals. He's trying to clean up the thing, not getting that right. Can't move the table. It's too heavy. Like he's trying to teach archery. Terrible at that. Like there was just that was a fun running gag that I thought was cute. And it felt very genuine. Like he was really funny with the actors. I liked their interaction with him, and they were kind of trying to prop him up a little bit. It was actually really cute. I did like him. He was great. And also Betsy Sodaro killed it. She was funny every time she was in it. Nailed it. And funny in a genuine, like just quirky character way. It wasn't slapsticky. It was like she did some great delivery of some lines. I feel like a lot of this felt like she was making it up, like doing an ad lib, because she was so good and her reactions were so natural. I was like, oh, this girl. I would like to see
kind of acting seems like ad lib,
She was so good.
She's like an improv person, so I think she just sort of went with it and sort of brought some real.
And they let her. It looks like they let her.
So I think if you're, this is a movie for if you want a light sort of fun movie. It doesn't get heavy. I felt it could have got heavier, and it would have been.
I would like to see heavier.
It's not the big chill.
No, it's not the big chill. But it's not meatballs either. So they're trying to figure out the difference. Like split the difference.
Meatballs a big deal.
And it's not Sleepaway Camp, which I was,
hoping for some gory hatchet.
That would have been funny, actually, if Eugene Levy ended up being a murderer.
And it should have been more Eugene Levy. But when you watch the credits, and it goes.
The case with all things.
There wasn't enough Eugene Levy, and I think he just came in for a little more of an extended.
Well, bring him in for more. That's all you had to do, is just pay him a little more. He could be in it more. But it wasn't really about the men. This wasn't about the men necessarily.
True.
So I think they were trying to keep them a little more peripheral. And have like their impact on this group of female friends, and how life has affected them, and how funny that is.
But so it's coming out, I believe, on May 21st. I might be wrong on that. Sorry,
27th, I think.
I'm sorry, the 27th. There you go. So Summer Camp.
Always fun to see Diane.
And get ready for.
I see her out and about sometimes in the real world. She's kind of like that's Diane Keaton.
She's very recognizable because she looks the same way she did when she was 25. It's crazy.
Yes, she does. Her hair is just
chats with her one time too. I met her at the Rose Bowl, the Rose Bowl flea market over at the Rose Bowl, and we started talking about furniture and stuff. And I was not really looking at her, and then her voice was like, God. Her voice sounds like she really sounds like Diane Keaton, and I looked at her. I'm like, wow, that's Diane Keaton.
That's pretty cool.
She was very nice and totally normal.
I love her, and I feel like she really dominates. So she was great in this.
She knows a lot about vintage furniture too. Just
so
that's cool.
I can believe it. Fashion, furniture, lifestyle, you name it. She's killer.
She's got it together. All right, everybody. Summer camp coming soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.